Dear viewers, caste isn't some dusty chapter in a history book. It still decides who gets hired, who rents the flat next door, even who dares to fall in love. Reservation was created as a counter-attack, not charity, but a way to break a hierarchy that has survived empires, reforms and revolutions. Now a new debate is brewing. At NDTV's Yuva event on September 20th, NCP leader Supriya Sule said reservation should go only to those who really need it. If a family is educated and settled, she argued it's shameful to keep claiming caste benefits. She floated the idea of shifting toward economic quotas. The audience cheered, social media swooned, and suddenly everyone was asking, is this the future of reservation? On the surface, it sounds like common sense, help the poor, not the privileged. But scratch a little deeper, look at the data and the lived reality of caste, and the argument starts to wobble. Hello, I'm Tejas and you're watching Honest Take on Lokmat Times. In today's video, we are breaking down why Supriya Sule's argument in favor of reservation based on economic conditions is flawed. But before we dive in, please do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. First things first, the purpose of reservation was never poverty relief. It is not a poverty alleviation program. It's a tool of compensatory justice. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and the framers of our constitution knew that a society built on caste is not a level playing field. You can be a rich Dalit and still be denied housing because your surname gives you away. You can top your class and still be told to sit separately in government school. You can own a company and still face slurs or violence if you marry outside your caste. Economist Ashwini Deshpande calls reservation a policy of compensatory discrimination. It exists because India tried to build democracy, one person, one vote, on top of a rigid birth-based hierarchy. Caste is not a temporary condition like poverty. You can climb out of poverty in one generation. You cannot climb out of caste. It follows you like a shadow. So when Sule says reservation should be only for those who really need it, she frames need as financial. That's the first mistake, because economic criteria don't fix social stigma. Let's look at 10% EWS quota, India's first experiment with economic-only reservation. It excludes SCs, STs, OBCs altogether. Only the so-called upper castes qualify. The income cutoff is 8 lakh rupees a year, around 67,000 a month. That's not poverty, that's middle-class comfort. Who benefits? Mostly the same forward castes who already dominate education and government jobs. It's a textbook case of the privileged grabbing a policy meant for the vulnerable. Supporters say this is fair because everyone poor deserves a shot. But caste discrimination doesn't vanish when you earn more. A Dalit IAS officer can still be barred from temple entry or face housing bias. Economic mobility doesn't buy social equality. Sule also criticized families that keep using reservation for second and third generation, calling it a shame. But this overlooks how caste actually operates. Generational wealth, cultural capital, access to elite schools, social networks, these are invisible advantages upper castes inherit. Merit is not some pure natural talent. Merit is shaped by opportunity. When a Dalit student reaches college, they are not just competing with other poor students. They are competing with people who have had centuries of head starts. For OBCs, a creamy layer filter already exists to exclude the well-off. If Sule's worry is about rich families hogging benefits, that mechanism is already there. What she proposes, economic-only quotas, throws out the core principle while keeping the illusion of fairness. People often say, but it's been 75 years since independence. Haven't things improved? Yes, some things have. But discrimination is far from gone. Surveys show nearly 1 in 3 Indian households still practices untouchability in some form. In rural India, the number is 7 higher. Separate cups for Dalits at tea stalls, segregated cremation grounds, violence when Dalit groom rides a horse in a wedding. Even natural disasters don't erase caste lines. After the 2004 tsunami in Tamil Nadu, Dalit survivors were forced into separate relief camps and denied access to clean water tanks donated by NGOs. Economic progress doesn't protect against this. Wealthy Dalits have been attacked for buying land, for marrying upper caste, for daring to live like equals. That's why Ambedkar never endorsed a time limit for caste-based reservation. The 10-year sunset clause you sometimes hear about was for political seats, not education or jobs. Think about the United States. Affirmative action there was created not because black Americans were poor, but because they were excluded from power for centuries through slavery and segregation. Caste in India is our own version of that badge of servitude. Ending quotas before ending discrimination simply locks inequality in place. Now, why would Supriya Sule, an experienced politician, push this line right now? Context matters. Her comments came just days after Maratha reservation agitation in Maharashtra, where Marathas demanded OBC status to access quotas. The state government is under pressure. Upper caste and urban voters are anxious about shrinking seats. An economic quota argument reassures those groups without directly attacking caste reservations. It sounds progressive, help the poor, while quietly diluting a policy that threatens existing privilege. This isn't new. Every major expansion of reservation, from the Mandal Commission in 1990 to state-level OBC quotas, has faced upper caste resistance. The EWS quota of 2019 was the first time Parliament united overnight to pass a reservation that largely benefits the privileged. Sule used a comparison, her child in a Mumbai school versus a brighter child in Chandrapur with fewer resources. Of course, access to good schools matters. Of course, we need better public education. But replacing caste quotas with economic ones doesn't build schools in Chandrapur. It simply reshuffles who gets the limited seats in elite colleges. The real answer is to expand quality education and healthcare for everyone while keeping caste-based quotas to counter structural exclusion. Consider these realities. Dalit and Adivasi students are still far more likely to drop out of school than upper caste peers. Job discrimination persists even when qualifications match. Studies using fake resumes show employers prefer upper caste names over Dalit names with identical degrees. Intercaste marriages remain rare and often violent, especially when Dalits marry up. These aren't problems of income alone, they are problems of status. None of this means the reservation system is perfect. Creamy layer rules can be tightened. Subcategorization within OBCs can ensure benefits reach the most deprived. Private sector jobs can open up to affirmative action. But the core must remain caste-based until caste discrimination actually ends. If the goal is to help poor upper caste families, and they do exist, India already has the tools. Scholarships, welfare programs, targeted cash transfers, free school meals, health insurance. These are universal and based on need. They don't require dismantling caste quotas. The bottom line is, Supriya Sule's argument sounds compassionate but misunderstands the problem it tries to solve. Reservation is not a charity for the poor. It is a constitutional tool to correct centuries of exclusion that still shape daily life. Switching to economic criteria is like treating a fracture with a painkiller. It might look fair, but it leaves the bone broken. The applause she received from the NDTV Yuva crowd reflects a common instinct. Young urban Indians want a society free of caste. That's a noble wish, but wishing caste away is not the same as dismantling it. Until untouchability, social stigma and caste violence truly disappear, caste-based reservation remains not just relevant but essential. So next time a leader says help the needy, not the caste, remember to ask, who decides who is needy and who benefits when caste is ignored? Because ignoring caste has always served the same people who built the system in the first place, and that is the honest take.